The new Tmnt designs suck. Not. What, don't tell me you really thought I'd respect the title premise on a YouTube video. Pfft. Yes, Nickelodeon has recently revealed their newest TMNT cartoon showing off their design of choice for the main leads. As you can see, they look much different from what we're used to. But fans welcome the change with open arms, praising the authors for their boldness, demonstrating that innovation is just as rewarding, if not more, as going the safe route by pandering to our old, beaten, nostalgic needs. Nah, but seriously, they hated them. I mean, it's okay not to like stuff, it's fine, I get it. Hating it's a never-dying trend on the internet, but why don't we try giving this new take a chance and see what's good about it when we compare it to the old one? Let's start by focusing on what we're familiar with. Notice anything in particular about each of these iterations? Except the fact that the ones from 2013 are so fucking cool. Jokes aside though, they basically make a single mold for each series, maybe with some subtle changes. Now, let me tell you something before I keep going. I love each and every one of them, but I'm not going to praise the old designs in this video because I'm giving for granted that we all know why we like them so much already. And why wouldn't we? They look unique and recognizable. There was nothing like them at the time they came out, and even to this day I don't see many things that look similar. Their biggest problem is not telling them apart from other brands, but from one another. Of course, the colored masks and the weapons are a relatively fine solution, and with that I mean, they get the job done. Problem is they're only a small part of their design overall. Meaning that whenever you're looking at them and trying to understand who is who, you're not looking at these, but rather at these. As fans, this might not be a problem, but it is to all those who are getting into the brand. We all know it can take a while to get used to. Even in the original cartoon, animators themselves kept swapping the masks in confusion. One could argue that the colors on their skin are different from 2003 onwards, I mean, they always were on the toys, but it's just different shades of greens, it's not substantial enough in a team of 4 identical looking characters. I'll just skip the ones from Back to the Sewers because, well... Now, the changes from the 2012 version are a tad more prominent, but it's quite clear that the idea was obviously making them different while still preserving the same overall feel of the characters. The new ones, on the other hand, are immediately recognizable. You know who's who from a simple glimpse. They are definitely more extreme compared to the others, but that's what makes them so readable. Let's try and play a little game. It is said that a properly good design should still be recognizable from its silhouette alone, so let's do that. We grab the old designs, turn off the lights, and we can easily see that the only parts that are clearly distinguishable are these. Now, this isn't necessarily bad. Sure, if a design relies solely on such small details to be recognizable, it's not a good thing, but having the same mold can give a sense of cohesion in a team. This technique is used by many other brands to enhance the sense of a group of different characters moved by the same motivations. Not to talk about the fact it saves money on the toy mold. And that's exactly my point. They're functional. That's it. Yes, the brand did start as an indie comic, so toys were probably not in the author's first thoughts, but it is for the toys that the cartoon was made, and I'm pretty sure all these things were taken in consideration when adapting the true originals. Don't get me wrong, they're cool, I like them, otherwise I wouldn't be here making this video, but it's true that they can be taken a step beyond, can't they? They're mutants! You can exaggerate, show a little bit of their characters in their designs, differentiate their shapes a little more, add some details maybe, and... Not like that! Much better. Let's try and silhouette these bad boys. See what I mean? I'm not wasting time looking for a weapon or a single color, I'm looking at the whole picture. Just by the shapes of it, I can tell which specific turtle I'm looking at. This is great, especially for an action-based show like this where speed and movement are a common occurrence. Sure, like anything, there are downsides to it too. Differentiating them means some might not be into the specs of their aspects they decided to enhance. For example, I heard many people don't like Don much, with his big head. I understand where they come from. I had that first impression too. However, I will say that if the head is proportionate to his elongated body, which is clearly what they're going for, it's not going to be much of a bother. I think I would have had more of a problem with it if they went for a more cartoony approach, made his head enormous, and shrunk the rest of his body. But as it is, I quite like him. He really does seem the most reasonable of the group.
I can fix this! I can fix this!
Plus, because they made each turtle of a different species, they went and made him a soft-shell turtle! Aren't they just adorable? Look at them! And the best thing, they also call them pancake turtles! That is just too much. Back on track. Because he has a softer shell than his brothers, he had to make his own, which explains the purple coloration. And also why he can fly with it, with his legs and arms crossed, like he's meditating. That's cool. With little details such as these, I can't really see how people are saying these designs are objectively bad. If anything, it almost seems like they've been holding back with the designs and ideas up until this very moment. And why? Just to make the turtle look all the same. Just because it was always like that. And fans will get mad if they changed. Anyways, I won't cover each specific race, because Dance is definitely unbeatable. But it's nice to see that they all have their own, not that they ever looked much like turtles. I mean, they look like turtles as much as Mickey Mouse looks like a mouse, Sonic the Hedgehog a hedgehog, and Bugs Bunny a bunny. After all, if they made them realistic and look like actual hybrids between humans and turtles, they'd be horrible. Exactly! This is what I get for getting on a tangent. Ugh. Anyways, people reserved a special seat in the complaints room for Raph too. Let's give him a look. Sorry. One of the issues is obviously his bulky form, and I already went into detail as to why I'm fine with that. The other thing that had people concerned though is that he's going to be replacing Leo as the team leader. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, that he has potential actually. For example, they might decide to have Leo become the leader later on, triggering Raph's jealousy and giving him an even stronger reason to be in conflict with him, going beyond the I should be the one, and getting to I was the one, you stole it from me, making for some interesting interactions between the two. But of course we'll have to wait to see how that turns out. Going into the weapons change, I don't think that was really necessary, but if they're going to experiment, they might as well try all they can with this iteration, so it doesn't bother me too much. Their weapons are not the characters. Which leads us to the writing of the show. I can't talk about it yet, sure, but I can say that it's generally a saving grace even for the most problematic of choices. I remember hating the designs from Transformers Animated when they were first announced, to the point where I didn't even give it a chance. I used to say they were nothing like the versions before. To this day I still call it the Big Chin series. But then, a while after it was cancelled, I gave it a look and found myself loving it more and more, to the point where I was disappointed with the rushed ending and the cancellation to the series. I wanted more! I personally think it's even superior to the Prime series that came out directly after, based more on the designs from the movies. Sure, the Prime series was much bigger in scale, felt a little darker, and could be more mature than the previous one. But I didn't find the same respect and love the latter had for the Transformers' previous incarnations. It was even trying to sneak Beast Wars into it. But even if Animated would have sucked our core, you know what? It wouldn't have mattered, because in the end, that was not the last iteration of the Transformers. The same thing applies to the Turtles. These are brands that keep reinventing themselves for new generations, that keep coming back with a different skin. They won't die easy. We'll see more of the Turtles around, and if you really just can't accept how they look now, and if you find yourself not liking the show's writing either, maybe it's time to take a little break from it, focus on something else, clench your butt cheeks for a while, and wait for the next thing. Even if sometimes it might take a little too much for something else to show up. After all, it's hard to stop them, our good old forever young I didn't talk much about Leo and Mickey because, well, for the first one, I didn't stumble on any substantial critic. People don't like his stripes, the change of weapon, and the fact he's not the leader as of now. I really don't have a problem with it, the design works just as much as the others. While for Mickey, well, of course everyone loves him. I wonder why. Obviously no one liked Black April, I honestly really don't care. After all, she was black for a short time in the original comics, and this might be a reference to it, but even then, it didn't frustrate me one bit when I first saw her because, well, not only doesn't make much of a difference, honestly, but I never cared much for April in the first place. I'm sorry, I have nothing against the character, but the main focus is not her to me. I just find humans generally rather boring in anything, especially when put next to 4 mutant ninjas. She's just background noise to me, especially when they make her a teenager just to try and make the cartoon more immersive for kids. Something that frankly never worked for me, even back when I was a kid.
I can't handle this.
As for Master Shifu, I'm sorry, I mean Splinter, yeah, now on this one I agree with most people. This is a step back. He looks like any other stereotypical tiny but strong Asian master, and it's honestly a shame, especially when compared to the version from 2012. I love the version from 2012. He's my big mouse daddy. Don't you ever leave me, mouse daddy, I love you so much. And now it's finally time to wrap it up. Thanks a lot for getting to this point, insert self-aware YouTuber joke about liking and subscribing here, and remember not to keep any advice or critique for yourself. We're working to improve and anything can help us. Ciao!